Hello, dear examiner. My name is Biothania PUTRI. I am final year student of Chemical Process Engineering UTM Kuala Lumpur. Today, I'm going to present you my final year project on non-revenue water reduction in Malaysia. As you all know, water is #1 human primary needs. Every living thing needs water to survive. To fulfill that need, it is really important to have a proper water treatment system. Unfortunately, many water sectors suffered a huge loss. This loss is widely known as non-revenue water. What is non-revenue water? Non-revenue water, or NRW, is water produced without generating revenue to water utilities. It comprises the volume of water lost physically, such as pipe leakage and overflow of reservoir, water lost commercially via water theft, and unrecorded water consumption and other forms of unbilled water consumption or loss. A low rate of NRW indicates an efficient water supply system that able to sustainably service consumer and generate profit for water utilities. In contrast, high NRW increase the risk of water scarcity and adverse impacts on the well-being of people, economy, and environment. Malaysia, a developing country in Southeast Asia, has consistently recorded an NRW rate of over 35% in the past decade. NRW for each Malaysian state ranged from 19% to 60%. Selangor, my chosen location for this project, where considerably has one of the highest rates of NRW with 31.5% as shown in Figure 1. And highest in NRW water loss with 7,672 million liters per day. Reducing NRW is a challenging and complex task, with multiple components such as pressure management, pipe replacement, and educational programs. It requires the involvement of various departments across water utilities and the collaboration of different stakeholders, and also changes in institutional, cultural, and governance structure. Problem statement of this study is, first, Malaysia has one of the highest rate of NRW compared to other countries in Southeast Asia, with an average of 38% for the past 10 years. Second, Malaysia has been faced with the difficulties in reducing NRW rates in the country. And lastly, there is still not enough participation and knowledge from the public regarding the NRW reduction plan. Objective of this study is to evaluate the factors affecting NRW losses in Selangor, Malaysia. To study the policy implementation of NRW in Malaysia, and lastly, to study public perception and knowledge on NRW management in Selangor, Malaysia. This study was conducted in Selangor State as Selangor has the highest number of population compared to other states in Malaysia, resulting to have the highest demand of water supply, and by that has one of the highest NRW rates. Residents from Selangor were selected randomly as the main respondent of the study. The method that was used in the study is, number 1, data collection. To study the public knowledge and perception on NRW in Selangor, Malaysia, a quantitative interview or survey were conducted. And to evaluate the factors affecting NRW and policy implementation in Malaysia, data were collected from previous research and journal on NRW in Malaysia. Number 2 is analysis and comparison. Data from the survey was analyzed to get the result using Excel, and data from journals was analyzed and do the comparison to fully understand on the factors affecting and policy implementation on NRW in Malaysia to produce a critical review. Now, we are entering the first result discussion. This table shows the factor affecting NRW in Malaysia. It shows that outdated infrastructure, poor operation and maintenance policy, inadequate technical skills and technology, greater financial constraints, a higher incidence of commercial losses, and public lack of participation in an RW reduction plan have been affecting the high rate in the country for the last 10 years. This result shows that even after 10 years, the country still faces the same problem in order to reduce the NRW rates in Malaysia. Next is the policy implication and improvement on NRW in Malaysia that's shown in Table 2. A number of policy implications were identified with rational and practical reference to improve public participation in NRW management, which first is water tariff. The public is more likely to pay for water service if they are aware of the health and economic benefit derived from improved water supplies. Water consumers have to be informed what they are paying for to make them understand that there are a lot of costs incurred to provide better water service, including reducing rate, maintaining the water infrastructure, and other operational costs. To increase the consumer willingness to pay for the water bills, government needs to improve the public perception of water tariff and ensure full cost recovery for a better water demand and RW management. Second is NRW knowledge. Government, water service providers, or NGOs need to have an integrate NRW-related knowledge and information into the content of water and environmental educational activities to raise an awareness on the importance of reducing NRW rates, negative impact of high NRW rates, the role of the public, and the benefit of reducing NRW. Lastly, public participation in NRW reduction activities. Government need to develop information and communication technology strategy to make the process of reporting NRW-related issues more community-friendly, efficient, effective, and easy for the public to better engage in reporting NRW-related water service complaints and establish social networks for water management to engage public in NRW reduction activities. Next is the public knowledge and perception on non-revenue water. First, the respondents were asked whether they have heard of non-revenue water. To this question, only 10% respondents from Kuala Lumpur gave a positive answer, while respondents from Selangor have never heard of non-revenue water. The figure indicates that significantly more respondents from Kuala Lumpur that have heard of NRW than respondents from Selangor. Figure 3 shows respondent perception regarding the seriousness of water loss issue in Malaysia. These two state respondent perception regarding the seriousness of water loss issues in Malaysia was found to be significantly different. Significantly, more respondents in Kuala Lumpur believe that water loss issues were serious in Malaysia, whereas nearly 50% of Selangor's respondents believe that water loss issues in the country were only moderately serious or not so serious. Furthermore, 30% of respondents from Kuala Lumpur and 40% respondents from Selangor said they had no idea about the seriousness of water issue in the country. In conclusion, Malaysia have been faced with the same factor that affecting the high rates of NRW for years, such as outdated infrastructure, poor operation and maintenance policy, inadequate technical skills and technology, greater financial constraint, a higher incidence of commercial losses, and public lack of participation in an RW reduction plan. Government needs to take an action in order to implement the water management policy to reduce its NRW rates effectively. And lastly, there are majority of the respondents that do not have good understanding of what an RW is, and they are still lacking an awareness of the seriousness of NRW issues in the country. That is all from me. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Goodbye. Stay safe.